All right, ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? This is BC. I'm featuring another rock star agent today on this particular episode here that we're going to put for YouTube. Alex has been with me for a while now. He's doing really, really good. He's in the Northeast. He's in Jersey. I wanted to bring him on and share some of his success and his story for your benefit. So, Alex, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Bryan.
Yeah, start us out, man. I know you're in Jersey. Let people know kind of a little bit about you, where you're from, and then we'll roll right into it.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm in Passaic County, but I service a lot of Bergen County and basically anything that's in central and North Jersey. I've been doing this for 8 years now. I'm a sales manager and a broker for an agency named Realtor Empire in Clifton, New Jersey. And I love what I do, and I'm so glad to be here.
Yeah, man. How did you get into real estate? What kind of inspired you to take that leap? You know, because I know that story is kind of unique to everybody.
Yeah, so it's I've always had this thought process where maybe school wasn't for me, right? And I was a junior at Rutgers in New Brunswick, majoring in microbiology, and just something was telling me that wasn't for me, right? Nothing against folks that go to college, but just for me, it just wasn't the right fit. I felt as if I wasn't investing my time properly. You know, I guess, well, it wasn't something that I wasn't pursuing something that I truly loved, essentially.
Yeah. You know, and looking back, like even for me, I only went to college because I was pursuing an athletic career, right? Like I even told my parents, if it wasn't for basketball and having a scholarship, I would have zero interest in going to college. And it really opened up my eyes too, because we had work study being on scholarship and we had to work on campus, and just seeing how like lazy people were, how much they were in a bad mood all the time. It was like rubbing off on me. And I was like, man, like I'm not gonna, you know, work corporate or, you know, do the 9 to 5. So I was already thinking for the future, hey, no matter what happens with my athletic career, like I can't really do the traditional job because the little exposure that I've had to it with this and summer jobs, I don't like it, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So what was it like, man? You do the classes, you get your license. I mean, is it what you expected? Did it kind of slap you in the face? Like what was
not
that
at
like?
all. I had this weird belief that the agency was going to provide leads and business to you because I'm not originally from Jersey. I'm from New York, right? So I don't have family in Jersey. I didn't have family friends or people that were going to buy or sell with me when I first started out. It was kind of like I was alone, and I had to figure a lot of things out on my own. My agency did its best to teach me and train me, but it's more so like the top agents here already had something going, right? So they couldn't invest all that time into me. You know, they had their own business to invest their time into. So I had to figure things out on my own. And I think I said this to you before, a lot of it just came from me watching your YouTube videos, your free YouTube videos.
I'm glad you brought that up, dude, because I think a lot of people, and it's interesting because, you know, you got in the business a while ago. It wasn't like you got in last year or the year before. A lot of people come in thinking, because this is where this question is coming from. When we get into real estate, it's entrepreneurship, right?
Right.
But for whatever reason, a lot of people, when they get into real estate, they think that it's almost like we're going to have the red carpet service. People are going to give us leads, or we're going to get all this help. Do you know where you got that idea, or were you just naive enough to think that was going to happen?
I was naive because at the time, my then girlfriend, she's my wife now, we would watch $1 Million Listings New York, right, every night, right, and I would see all these big deals that they were having on TV, but I never asked myself, because these shows, they glamorize real estate, but they never show you the hard work behind it, right? I never asked myself how they got that business or how they ended up listing a $3 million penthouse, as an example. I never asked myself that. I just assumed that, you know, you became a realtor, and if people wanted to sell, they would come to you or come to your office, and then, you know, business would trickle in like that. I didn't know, right? And it wasn't until I got into the business that I learned that, hey, if you have nobody, if you don't have a sphere of influence or anybody that's going to want to buy or sell with you within the next few months or a year, right? You kind of have to go out there and get your own business, right? So that's when I learned about door knocking and going out there and just hitting the doors and seeing who wanted to sell.
So you have that realization, right? And things start kind of becoming clear to you. Did you just hit the ground running and start picking up the phone and going door to door, or was it like a gradual process that you slowly started kind of adopting?
Yeah, it was a gradual process, right? Because I didn't know where to start, right? I didn't know about scripts. I didn't learn a script. I would go out there and door knock. All the agents around me would tell me, just go door knock on expired listings, right? So I would go out there and door knock on expired listings, and I would fall on my face. A lot of times I would fall on my face. And I remember what I would do is I would go back to my car, sit there, pull out the notes in my iPhone, and just write down rebuttals. Like, okay, this is what they said to me. What could I have done or said to them, to get around that hurdle, right? So I would just write it down, and I just figured shit out on my own.
Now, at the time, as you're figuring things out, what are you doing? Are you just asking, in your office to some of the leadership to help you? Or are you just, again, going back to YouTube? Like, what did that first, 2, 3, 4 years look like in regards to like kind of learning? Was it just school of the hard knocks, or was there something that you started adding in that started really helping you get some momentum?
No, man, it was just a straight school of hard knocks, right? I had mentors in my life, and they would teach me what they could. But it was mostly me watching YouTube videos and going out there trying to figure it out.
Yeah. So it sounds like you were pretty resilient, and the thought of like giving up was never in your mind, or did that come up at some point?
It came up, like I would say the third year in real estate, third and fourth year in real estate, it came up because I wasn't making the money that I wanted to make. My second year in real estate, I did amazing, right? Through buyers, right? It was mostly leads that I was getting through my agency and referrals, right? But then the issue with buyers is that it's not a consistent flow of business, right? So my third and fourth year really, really sucked, and I did consider leaving the business at that point. And I remember telling myself, like, nah, man, I can't. I've already I've invested 3 to 4 years of my life into this business, right? For me to leave now, I would feel like a failure, like I'm quitting, right? It's like, I can't leave.
Yeah. What ultimately got you to stay, do you think? Was it one thing? Was it like maybe your girlfriend at the time supporting you? Was it just you're stubborn like I am? Because a lot of people quit, bro. Like you see the statistics, it's like 90% fail within the first couple of years, and most of them are out of the business. Was there one particular thing that really kind of pushed you through, or was it just, fuck it, I'm going to stay?
Yeah, it was a mix of both fuck it, I'm going to stay and figure it out, and my wife telling me, believing in me, right? The crazy thing is, I used to tell myself all the time, right? When I didn't believe in myself, I would think of the people that did believe in me, right? And for me to just completely quit would be disrespectful to them, right? I always felt that way, and I still do, right? And that's why I work so hard, because now it's not just my wife and my family, like my mom, dad, and brother, right? That are backing me up and supporting me. Right now, I have a son, right? And these people believe in me, right? They depend on me to be successful, right? So, but at the time, yeah, it was more so like I'm not fucking leaving. I got to figure this out.
Yeah, because I mean that's kind of how it was for me, man. I had those moments too, but there's no quit in me. I was like, there's no other option. It's not like I can quit and do something else. Like that
exactly.
That thought hadn't even come into my mind. So there's no, you burn the boats, right? You burn the boats.
Exactly.
It's like, well, shit, I got to do it until I sink or swim, right?
Exactly. Cool. I'm in that same boat right now, right? Because it's not, dude. I've been doing this for 8 years. I just turned 32 a few days ago, right? It's not like I don't feel comfortable just quitting and going back to school. I'm going to be the oldest person in the classroom, right? And then with all due respect to anybody that goes to school, right? Any career path that I want to choose or take down the road that's genuinely going to be able to help me support my lifestyle, I'm looking at least another 6 to 8 years of schooling, right? And what am I going to do during that time? I don't have a college degree, so any job that I get is not going to be enough to support my mortgage, support my bills. Now I've got a kid, I got to support him too. it's not gonna. I have to make this work, you know.
Right. That's a powerful thing too. Like a lot of people don't understand that when you, because there's many ways to operate, right? A lot of us operate from like scarcity or getting away from something. Oh, I don't want the bill collector to come, like the fear of survival, right? But there's also the other side of it too, which is going after what you want, inspiration. Like I always say, we can't just act out of desperation. We also have to, take action from inspiration. So what we want, our goals, our vision. But there's a power in that though, man, where it's like, okay, if I fail, I let down my family and myself, right? And that can't be the only motivating factor, but it's a powerful one because I had that early on too. Like part of it for me too was like a chip on my shoulder. I wanted to prove people wrong. I was like, I'm not going to give these people the satisfaction of seeing me quit, right? So I'm going to show up every day. I'm going to post that I'm door knocking, like whether things are going well or not. I'm going to show the world that, hey, I'm at it again, and at least for me, that was one of those initial things that really carried me, so it's cool hearing that from you. So at what point, right, we fast forward, right, you've been in the business 8 years. That was the first couple of years. Where do we cross paths, me and you?
Yeah, so it's been a little over a year now, and I just felt like I was missing something in my business, right? And real estate, honestly, I think I speak the truth when I say this. It's a dirty business, right? There's a lot of realtors out there that are top agents that will not help you unless there's a benefit to them, right? And I remember reaching out to a bunch of top agents, and they would tell me like, "Oh, the only way I'm gonna like teach you how I do it is if you join my team," right?
Yep.
And I'm like, dude, I don't want to join your team. I'm happy with where I am, right? And something just clicked, and I said, "Fuck it," I'm the type of person where I personally believe that you can solve most of your problems if you invest time and money into them, right? And I said to myself, like, okay, no one's giving this information out for free, obviously, right? And I don't want to switch agencies, right? Let me find a coach that's going to help me, right? And I related to you the most. Mostly because I've been seeing you since I got into the business since 2017, right? And I said to myself, Bryan has been very successful, right? If anyone's going to be able to take me there, it's going to be him. And that's when I reached out to you, just hoping to take that next step.
Yeah, man. And was there something in particular that pushed you to that finally? Was it like a deal that fell apart? Or something like in your personal life, or was it just something finally fucking clicked and you were like, you know what, it's time to take it to the next level?
Personal life, and then something in me just clicked, right? Because to me, it was more so as I'm a sales manager, right? And just like you have your own team, right? When you have new agents come under you, a lot of them will tell you what you want to hear, right? That, oh, I'm going to work my ass off. I'm going to do this 24/7, 365. I'm going to learn from you, right? And then no one does it, right? So, I ended up, because I was in a sales manager position, my business started going downhill because I was investing all this time into these agents and not seeing a return. And so I said to myself, like, no, I need to get back on my horse and start making business for myself and generating leads and making money for myself. And also, my wife and I had just gotten married, and we were planning on starting a family. So I had to do something differently to get me to that next level.
Yeah. So, you join, right? You get things rolling. And like, as of late, I've really been congratulating you because like I mentioned, every time I open up Facebook, boom, another one sold, right? Another one sold, another one listed. And it's cool. It's cool to see. What were some of the, and we'll do it this way, what were some of the initial changes that maybe you resisted and that you noticed like, okay, man, I gotta make this change and make this adjustment right away? And then as you've been with me for a while now, what are some other things you've implemented throughout that process that have now allowed you to kind of build that more consistency and growth?
Yeah, definitely. So the first one would be the positive thinking aspect, right? I'm someone who, even though I didn't finish my degree, I still have a background in science, right? So with that being said, I say that because I'm very realist, right? I'm a realistic person. And to me, for a very long time, all the affirmations, right? I know you're big on affirmations. To me, that was bullshit, right? To me, like waking up and staring at myself in the mirror and telling myself, like, you're going to have a great day today. You're amazing. You're smart. You're powerful and whatnot. Like, I couldn't wrap my head around that. To me, that was just complete bullshit. But the one day, I don't remember specifically what put me in a bad mood, right? And I remember I was driving. It was in the morning because I was driving to my office, right? And I was in a really bad mood. I was depressed. I was pissed off. I don't remember specifically what happened, but I kept telling myself, like, okay, I can't let this affect me because it ends up affecting my business and it affects everybody around me, right? And I'm the type of person that tends to leave things at the door when I walk into my office, but there's only so much that can do, right? So I was watching one of your videos, and you were talking about positive thinking, and there's a quote that you would always tell yourself, which I believe it was, every day in every way things are getting better and better, right? And I said to myself, you know what, fuck it, I've got nothing to lose, let me try it, right? And I just kept repeating that to myself throughout my entire drive to my office, right? And I noticed that my day did end up being a lot better than what it started, right? And since then, I've been pushing myself, and I tell myself every morning, you know, positive things are coming my way today, right? Because even when I have a shitty day, it's not as bad as it would have been if I didn't have that mentality. And it's crazy when you start thinking positively. It's like positive things just happen to you. I told you, right? I took 2 listings in one day, and I thought I was going to end up taking a third one because I got a call from a past client. Right. Yeah. I sold one of her houses, so and she has a bunch of investments down the shore, and she has her house here in Wayne. Right. She called me, and I thought I was going to be taking 3 listings in one day. I was gassed. I was like, I'm about to pull a hat trick. Right. Which she ended up just calling to talk. Right. I mean, she did mention that her daughter's looking to buy. Right. So we are staying in touch, you know, but just the fact that day, not only was I in a positive mood, but I ended up taking 2 listings from people that called me randomly, right? And it's from my fruits and efforts, right? From cold calling, door knocking, sending out mailers, right? Staying in touch with people, following up, right? And it's crazy because you don't see the results until later on, right? You got to put in all this work, and then it's a snowball effect, right? It's going to end up happening. You just have to believe in what you're doing and know that it's right.
Yeah, and I'm glad you shared that, bro, because just that same sentiment that you shared, I thought this was all bullshit, was exactly like the words that came out of my mouth when I started all this. Like, I remember I joined my first company, Century 21, and my broker didn't really go into detail, but he's like, dude, 95% of this business is mindset. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, whatever, dude. What the fuck are you talking about, right? Like, and then, you know, you start hearing about some of the stuff they'd recommend, the books. I'm like, man, that's all bullshit. Like, I'm not going to read that. Yeah. Like, what are you talking about? But once you actually started buying into it, I realized, like, wow, this is some powerful stuff, right? So kind of like you, because I was stubborn enough to resist that stuff until I started having those bad days and thinking really, really negatively. And I was like, fuck, man, like, I got to shake this thing. But his words like always popped up in my head. I was like, all right, I got to look into this. Like, what do I have to lose at this point? You know? Yeah. But I was still stubborn about it, man. And it's crazy. And we're making it simplistic, like, oh, just positive thinking. It's not just that, but it's a whole process and evolution there. But I would assume even outside of your business now, your life, your overall mood and everything is probably completely shifted, like almost 180 degrees, right?
100%. 100%. I don't, not only has it affected my business life positively, but my personal life, my relationship with my wife, right? It's affected me positively, right? I'm not a grouch, right? I used to be a big grouch back in the day, right? Yeah. Not anymore, right? And it's to the point where when I'm out there door knocking, or if I'm cold calling or hanging out with some of my agents, right? If one of them is thinking negatively, I tell them to get away from me. Like, I would, I'll tell them straight up, like, dude, you're being completely negative, and if you're not going to switch your mindset, then I don't want you near me, right? Because it's a, you know, it's a disease,
It is.
right? If someone's negative, they're going to pass it on to someone else.
Yeah. 100%, man. And it goes both ways too. Like if we're vibrant and we're enthusiastic, that'll rub off on people too.
Exactly.
But negativity is so just readily available and at your fingertips. And most people default to that mode that it's just, it's a poison, right? That just spreads. And it spreads really, really fast. You could have 20 great, enthusiastic people at the workplace. All it takes is that one bad apple to ruin it. You know what I mean? And I'm sure you've experienced it too. And I have. But the cool thing is now that you've established that, you can extend that into your environment, your team, your company, and you can cultivate the opposite. So that way, when somebody comes in, it's more conducive for them and easier for them to grow and make that shift versus feeling like they're alone, fighting upstream, trying to figure this thing out. And that's kind of how I think this thing gets passed down and then becomes easier and easier as we go on, right? If we do it right. And I know you had mentioned to me, hey, about, you know, growing your office and doing meetings and that kind of stuff. So I'm glad we were able to talk about that because that's so important, right? You're creating something, an environment and an opportunity for people, but they won't even get it because they're us, the version of us, you know, 10, 12 years ago. And it's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, and that's why, you know, you got to have a lot of patience. Like all my agents, I love every single one of them. I'm patient with every single one of them because everyone grows differently, right? So they may not be ready today, but you never know. Something might happen to them in their personal life that pushes them to take the next step.
Absolutely. Now, one thing we had been working on for a while, I got a few more questions for you. For you, I know it was a challenge for a long time to really break through into like the luxury market, right? Because of your own personal beliefs. Can you talk to the audience a little bit about that and kind of what you've done to start remedying that and really breaking through it? Because even recently you've been setting some really big appointments and, you know, attending them. How has that process been and what have you done to really make yourself believe like I can do luxury and I'm that guy?
Yeah, definitely. So I bring myself back to, so the largest listing I've ever taken to date was, I believe we had initially listed a little over 4 million and then it sold for 3.2, a little over 3.2. And you had mentioned to me anchoring, right? Try to remember that feeling, right? What it was like. And I remember when they signed off on the paperwork, I was so excited. And but I was nervous as fuck when I cold called them, right? It was an expired listing. And I was nervous because they had listed with top agents in the past, right? And we're a boutique agency, right? Not a lot of folks know who we are, right? We're not really known for taking high-end luxury deals, right? But you've also expressed that none of that fucking matters, right? Like people are doing business with the agent, not with the agency, right? So there was that. And then I said to myself, like, all right, well, this is like a trick that I'll give everybody, right? I said to myself, you know what? Let me go on the MLS and look up expired listings, right, of luxury real estate listings that were taken by agents that weren't part of a big office, right? Because then, you know, that'll prove to me that these multi-million-dollar listings, they don't care what office you're with. They only care about the agent. And I found a bunch of them, right? And in fact, one of them was a $3 million listing appointment that I ended up going with one of my colleagues too, right? We ended up not taking it because it was just very unrealistic on the price, right? But he had interviewed us, and then he interviewed another agent from Coldwell Banker. I'm not going to say her name, right? Because I don't want to put her business out there, right? But he was leaning more towards us and going with us. So I know for a fact if I would have agreed to his price, he would have signed the listing packet. But that's another thing I learned from you. Learn to walk away, right? I think many times people get so obsessed with taking a listing, no matter the price point, right? Just so they can say that they have a listing, that they end up wasting all this time and money on something that can't even be sold.
Yeah. 100%, man. And it's tough because I remember one of the first listings that I went on, listing appointment, I had to walk away. And I remember coming back to the office bummed out, but I remember specifically like Ernie and Fernando and a lot of the top guys in my office are like, dude, you're destined for greatness. You know, if you're this new and you stuck to your guns and you walked away from somebody that's unrealistic, that's good. So keep your head up. I know it's tough because you wanted the listing, but in the long run, you're doing the right thing. And that really stuck with me. Because in my mind, I was like, fuck, man, of course I do all this preparation and I go and then I don't get it. I'm like blaming myself. But in reality, as I explained it to them, like, dude, the lady's nuts. She wants like 20% above market value. And they gave me some tips and stuff, but they said ultimately I did the right thing. And that stuck with me. But it's true, man. And it's just, again, the newer somebody is, typically the harder it is to really teach them that. Right.
Yeah.
And more often than not, they'll say, well, I took the listing, but, and then they say, I took it 20% over market value for 2% commission. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy. There's also top realtors that still do that just to keep up with their image that they're luxury listing agents. And like, dude, it doesn't matter if you listed a home for $15 million. At the end of the day, you didn't sell it, so you didn't get paid. So, like it doesn't make you special just because you took that listing.
I know, right? Crazy. And then all you're doing is advertising to the neighborhood. You don't know what you're doing because everyone knows it's overpriced, right? Like I've been door knocking. They're like, oh yeah, the neighbor put their home up for 600. He's crazy. It's not going to sell for 600. Like they know that, right?
Yeah. Like, how bad that looks? Like that you took a listing and you can't sell it. Like to this very day, I haven't taken a single listing that I couldn't sell. Like for the most part, all my listings sell. And the only time that they don't sell is when my clients decide that they're withdrawing the home, and for whatever reason, it's got to be a valid reason, but I've never had a listing expire on me because I always price them correctly and they sell.
Yeah, there you go. That's important, man. Because that's people. What's your unique value proposition? That's one. Because the average agent probably sells half the listings that they take. So if you're selling 100%, there you go. And it's all about how you position that in the marketplace to give yourself the competitive advantage, right? So we're August, right? What are some of like your goals and like what do you want to do by the end of the year? Are you looking to take like 10 more listings? You want like 10 more closings? What does that look like for you personally, like your goals?
Yeah, I'd like to take as many listings as possible. So I'm not really sure. I mean, to be completely honest and transparent with you, this is all new to me, right? I've never had this level of success, right? Like I've got my phone's constantly blowing up, so I'm not really sure what to expect or what to plan for, right? I think for now, I'd be super happy if I took like another 5 listings, right? I'd be happy. I wouldn't be content, but I'd be happy, right? I'm just getting used to these things, right? And getting the hang of things.
Yeah, man. And it's a cool feeling, right? When you finally start getting more closings and listings and you start doing a lot more business because it confirms what you did before, but it also, and this may have popped up in your mind and you can share with the audience if it has. A lot of times when agents start having success, I notice this even in our program, it's almost like they didn't expect it. So now when it comes to like the future plans, I'm like, dude, how do you not know, right? Like, did you not expect to start getting business? And it's almost like they stepped into this new realm like, oh man, I've never been here,
Yeah, exactly. And that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And here's one thing, right? Because you've pushed. And a lot of people, when they start having success, a major mistake they make is they take their foot off the gas. Mm-hmm. So aside from, like you mentioned, your wife, your newborn son, is there anything else that's really keeping the wheels turning for you, or is it mainly that now?
There's that, and obviously the thought of my parents and my brother, right? I'm first generation Mexican American, right? And I'm sure you can relate as well. There's a lot of responsibility that's put on you as the firstborn, right? And it's your job to take care of the family. It doesn't matter that I have my wife and my son now, but I still have a responsibility to my parents and my brother, right? So that also pushes me a lot. And also, I think I mentioned this to you once before, but like I'm one of those people that I don't want to be on my deathbed wondering to myself, what if I actually tried, or what if I actually pushed, or what could I have had accomplished if I put all my time and effort into something. And it's just scary to think how fast time is moving, right? Because I tell everyone, I remember my first day of kindergarten, right? And now I'm 32. Like, dude, life passes you by incredibly fast, right? So if you don't do something with your life that's going to make you content on your deathbed, that's a scary thought, right? So that's also my motivation. Like, make sure that when I pass away, I die in peace, right?
Yeah.
Knowing that I took care of my family and I did everything that I could.
Yeah, I think nobody wants to be, in those last couple of days or last couple of months thinking, what if, and that's kind of
Yeah.
how I frame a lot of this stuff too, is I had the balls to try things and, risk it. So I know, again, when I am on my deathbed, I'll smile like, damn, I lived it up and I went after it. Whether I ultimately hit all those goals or not, it's like, dude, at least I went out swinging. And that to me is really important too, because you look at the average person nowadays and they're so docile, right? They're so tamed, like, I don't want to do that. It's not going to work. And it goes back to what we said, very negative, right? Very pessimistic, very woe is me, very nothing's going to work. Why even try? And, you mentioned you were that way. I wouldn't say I was totally that way, but I would say for sure my family and a lot of people around me were that way. Right. So even me pushing athletically, people are like, oh no, you're crazy. Don't do that. Take the safe route. I was like, fuck the safe route, dude.
Yeah.
But I felt like, man, I'm this black sheep where I'm wanting to think this way, but everyone else is thinking the other way. So it did, in a way, affect me, because had I been in a different type of environment, maybe a lot of this stuff would have developed, faster in me at a younger age. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's cool. It's cool to hear that from you, man, because a lot of people aren't thinking that far ahead. Like they're thinking today, survival.
Yeah,
I just want to make it
definitely.
to the weekend,
Yeah, and dude, there's people that have done more with less, right? I tell myself that all the time, right? And the reason I'm saying that is because if anybody's watching this where they still live at home with their parents, or their parents are financing a huge portion of their life, or let's say that they're in a better position than I was when I first started. Like, bro, I didn't know anybody. I didn't know a single person that wanted to buy or sell. I had to build my own business with my own two hands, right? Nothing was handed to me. Like, yeah, my office gave me leads. Dude, I can count on my hand how many leads they gave me that I actually closed, right? Like, most of my business, I had to go out there, door knock and cold call. And when I was brand new, it was tough because, I would get business, but a lot of that business would end up going to my mentor at the time. So I didn't even get any credit for that, right? So I'm over your door knocking and cold calling, getting listings, and I didn't get any of the credit, right? And in my mind, it was more so like, all right, I guess at least I'm getting paid, right? But the whole credit aspect of it is also what motivates you and pushes you to go for that next one, right?
Sure.
So yeah, I mean, if I can do it, anybody can. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Love it, man. If somebody wants to reach out to you, man, hit you up, ask you questions, chat, follow you, how do you want them to reach out to you?
All right, I'm always on Instagram, right? I have a Facebook, but I never check it, which I feel bad because I have a lot of family that's on there and they're constantly texting me and I never respond, right? But if you do want to reach out to me, like, the best place to reach out to me is on Instagram. And my Instagram is Aquino, AQUINO _real estate. I wanted to make everything one word, but it was taken.
Yeah, I know, right? What are the odds? But I'll put it in the description too, because I'll be posting this on YouTube and stuff. But thanks for jumping on, Alex. We'll probably do another episode where we get more nitty gritty behind the numbers, or like the daily schedule and that kind of stuff. But I just kind of wanted to put you out, man. I've been interviewing a lot of people from the program lately, and it's cool because a lot of you guys share some similarities in your stories, and it's cool to see.
Yeah, man, definitely.
Yeah, man. All right, thanks for jumping on, bro.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.